Children's definitely not race doesn't depend on your race. Well, fucked up that you think that just because a man's white, he can't abandon his children. But, okay. But yes, my ex is white. He was very, very abusive. And he abandoned me, this child, and the 4 others that we actually have together that I don't have in my custody because of being with him. So, yeah. White people, or white men, abandon their children too.
We're so thankful for you guys because I had no idea what we were going to do. And just overnight, all you guys just reached out and helped us, and all the support, your encouraging words. It's just gave me a lot of hope. I just had to donate a few days ago.
Kelly is now donating blood plasma, $100 a time, to buy groceries.
So you are managing to eat okay?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, they're eating okay. Let's put it that way. I'm like, there's days I don't even want to roll out the bed, roll out the floor. You get what I mean.
Kelly's pawned or sold nearly everything she had.
I had a bed right here. There was a TV right here on top of this stand, so I had to pawn that.
She thought about working online, but...
You lost your laptop as well?
Oh, I had to pawn that trying to keep up with the bills.
I'm really sad here. And I had to say, okay, if you want to save somebody, save yourself. That's what I told myself. You can't say, I can't be, I'm worthless for anybody else if I can't save myself. And if we want to really be here for each other, we have to work out this self-care. It is about self-care. You have to love on yourself. And that Crystal, not just that, you have to forgive yourself. Oh, don't cry, sweetheart. Oh, Crystal. Don't cry. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're here. We're here.
Meanwhile.
We need to hear some cussing out, though.
I just wanted to know where you get your hard work from and your athletic ability. Where'd that come from?
I get it from my mom. That's
Your mom?
All right, I get it from my dad that
Come on, man.
played professional football. Hey, who gave him a mic? Hey, y'all can't do that.
So, where'd you get the hard work from?
I got it from you.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're going to keep working?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
All right. Please don't give him a mic again.
Moved to New York when you were 2 years old and have lived in the United States for a long time, but you're very proudly Japanese, obviously. What will this victory mean for the people back home, for both sets of fans who will be watching this for you?
Actually, I live in Florida now. But yeah, I mean, of course, I'm really honored to be playing for Japan, and my dad's side is Haitian, so represent. But yeah, I forgot the rest of your question, sorry.
She has a sister named Mari Osaka. Mari is a tennis player. Naomi Osaka currently dating with YVN Cardi, who is a professional rapper.
And it's like this, I always tell myself, when you do something bad, don't start crying now. Don't wait till you get in the bed. Oh, no, please don't hit me. No, you should have thought of that before you did it. But so I gave him a couple of hits upside the head. But Lonzo was like, you talk about acting. Let me give you this. If I hit Melo, I ain't gonna hit him in his face, but in his ass or with a belt or something. He doesn't stand there because I say, hey, take your punishment like a man. Jello, shut up. boy's so strong. You don't even know if you heard him. You understand what I'm saying, Jello? Yes. You do this to Lonzo. Boy, like I can hit him right here. He'll go down the whole hallway.
Flopping
like I killed it. I said, man, go on to bed, man. I ain't messing with you no more.
How about Tina getting sick? How did you react?
I react to it. I got to deal with it. Everybody gets sick every day. And just when it happens close to you, now everybody like, oh, shut up.
Well,
no, I said,
your wife.
Hey, yes, you're still my wife.
How did you deal with it all?
I just deal with it. It's just whatever it is. Here's the thing. Things are going to happen in life. Either you're going to help do something about it, or you're just going to let it happen and destroy you or whatever. You ain't going to do that with me. Like I told my boys when she's hurt, I got her. So now you can go do whatever you want to do. But what I'm not going to burden you with is sitting there rubbing your mom's hand. Doing what? We're not making a movie. So I don't need Lonzo, Jello, and Mello sitting there taking care of their mom. They need to take care of their kids when they get some kids. But that's my wife, and I take care of her. As long as she's breathing, she'll be here. Like I tell my boys, as long as she can smile and kiss you, she ain't got to say a word. We got her.
And my coach pulled me to the side and said, you don't want to get embarrassed on national TV. You got 6 points, and Kansas is kicking our butts right now.
Ellis got Young wide open for a three, and he knocked it down. That's Rayford Young's second three of the day.
I don't know if the Holy Ghost got into me in the second half, but, something happened. I ended up scoring 35.
Rayford Young on the break, and got it. Oh, what a move by Rayford Young. Pops a three-point try. Good. Rayford Young trying to bring the Red Raiders back. Young with another three. Rayford Young. Oh, he just lightened it up.
The night my dad had 41 against Kansas definitely gets brought up a lot in the Young household.
Rayford Young pointing down at the section at the end of the floor. His sister is sitting down there watching, and he's putting a show on right now. 41 points for Rayford Young.
I remember all the fans rushed the court. Trey was actually there. Candace ran up to me and hugged me, but no one knew where Trey was. But I think my sister was holding him at the time.
It's pretty cool being able to look back and know that I was there to experience it all, to be able to look back and be like, that was my dad playing there.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
So those clips act as visual evidence to why these crusties are so bitter and angry and obsessed with black men dating interracially, because when you're trying to push a false narrative and propaganda doesn't exist, as you're going to see in this video about stats, demographics, black men with children in general versus BWs with children, how many black men have children, how many black men are married interracially to white women, Hispanic women, the incomes, so forth. You're gonna see it's a reflection of what you see in those videos. And that's why they're so obsessed with black men, because you gotta understand from their angle. When you're a bitter femcel, nobody wants you, you're at the bottom of the barrel, you're the least desired race of women. The top men of your race are actually more desired or equivalent to desired as white men. I'm talking about the top black men. And they have other options and they're not picking you. And you get to see them living these lifestyles where you're saying they can't provide, they're providing in the videos. They can't protect, they're protecting in the videos. And they don't build. They're building in the videos. They built legacies. They built big baller brand. They built children that are more successful than any children you can make from one of these bottom shelf brads. You understand me? So when you have this and you pushing this narrative, stuff like this is gonna trigger them. So we gotta bring it to light. We gotta bring it to facts, and we gotta expose the truth. And then as you see in the last clip, you seen LeVar Ball say he's gonna take care of his wife. You see in black culture, in their culture, it's the opposite. You got their sons and daughters taking care of them because of their poor mistakes and poor decisions. And then they want to come to my channel and say, oh, you date that white girl, you're gonna leave them as single moms too. No, dumb bitch. My son and my children already have money put aside for them, and they're not even born yet, dumb bitch. That's your issue, that's your culture. And what they do is they project their issues onto everyone else, including black men, including other races of women, because they're gonna be a single mom with a fatherless child no matter who they reproduce with. Doesn't change. Let's get into the video. So you got these crusties like Transsexual G and other crusties claiming black men have poverty dick. That's what they said. That's the Ebonics they speak. I find that very interesting, considering all races of men you have kids by have a high wedlock rate, which will contribute to the children more likely to live in poverty, foster care, get child services called on them, like the introduction video that you just seen. it's on paper, and it's visual. So all these things are very common, as you've seen in the introduction video. This would imply in translation to your Ebonics, the language that you speak, that any things that come from your contaminated pussies are impoverished. Anything that comes from you have a higher likelihood of being impoverished than any other group on the planet. No matter who the father is, that's a fact. Then, when you take into account that your entire pussy is essentially an ecosystem of a contaminated waste, disgusting. You got crabs in that shit. You got gonorrhea. You got dry, unshaved bushes, and it are dying from all the lice that Jason Pope gave to it. All that ghetto gagging pink sticks that were diving in it. And crabs are made for the ocean. They're not made for the swamp. And your wet pussy is like a swamp surrounded by dead, dry skin. With that being said, just like the men who date you are basically contaminated waste from their communities, like Jason Pope and all the other bottom shelf brads you get, that would be considered white trash in white American culture, something that white women and other women don't settle for, not powerful, resourceful white man. That's only in yours. So that can imply that you also have a higher ratio of passing on HIVs and STDs. Not just poverty pussy, but contaminated pussy. So I think it would be fair to say, if you can't take accountability for anything, being a single mother rate that skyrockets over other races of women, all these things you can't take accountability for, STDs and HIVs that skyrockets over other races of men and women, I think the United States government should make a regulation, making it a requirement at the time of a BW birth, or at least when they hit puberty, for them to get 2 permanent tattoos of a hazardous logo on both of their ass cheeks. At least. Maybe that would act at least as a deterrent for all these shines and these simps who keep fucking you raw and having children, because we all know you can't take accountability for anything. So we gotta take the accountability out your hands now. And I don't think you're worth the investment of a microchip in your pussy for you to stop going around spreading HIVs and having a bunch of kids, because that would be a lot of money, and I don't think you're worth it. I can design that microchip by myself. I can make artificial intelligence in it, all that shit. But you're not worth the investment because you have no value in society or anywhere else. So it's fair to say we gotta have a solution for the problem. Having these manosphere talk with these manosphere clowns, which I'm not a part of, about how, you know, we're gonna talk to these creatures. No, we need a solution. And I think that would be a great solution. But I don't even think that's worth the investment. I think the better solution would just be to stop reproducing with your creatures. Don't date you. Research have no value. Just like BWs collectively don't. That's just my opinion though. But we're gonna get into the facts in this video and see how many black men actually have children. We gotta look at that. We have to look at that. And then when you're twerking on top of these tables and talking about you're gonna divest, even though no one wants you to divest their communities, no one wants you here. I lived in white communities most of my life, and I'm in a high class community right now that's mixed. Nobody wants you here. You're not respected here. We don't want you here. Nobody does. But you want to divest and go twerk on top of tables in these places. At least with that hazardous regulation. When you twerking on top of tables with your ass cheeks out, it'll have 2 hazardous logos on it. Stay away from this hazardous swamp. Stay away. That way you don't have no low standard fool swimming in that contaminated waste if they try to lay up with you. Hopefully they can use your mouth that you brag about having full lips all the time to flush some of that kids down the toilet, because you're not worthy of having anyone kids. And you are essentially a toilet, as you show on Ghetto Gaggers. But after all that, if it's everyone else's responsibility and U.S. government responsibility and taxpayers' pocket change responsibility to take accountability of your failures and your mistakes, then it can be fair to say that they can implement that regulation. I'm just saying. After all, you already depend on it for welfare, so it shouldn't make that much of a difference. Fucking one of these irresponsible, no accountability taking animals is like leaving a big piece of chicken on the counter, unwrapped from the package, for about 3 days, not putting it in the fridge, not doing anything to defrost it, just leaving it on the counter for 3 days and expecting not to get food poisoning. That's what it's like fucking one of these animals in today's society. That's truly what it is. It's the equivalent same thing, except that they might be more harmful than food poisoning. So I do not understand why anyone would do such a thing, but we need a hazardous logo on that because they're not gonna take accountability for anything. We already established that. That's not a part of their culture. A part of their culture is for simps to coddle them for everything they do and justify their failures and inability to be women and kiss their ass. That's not how we operate over here. No. We operate on solutions. We operate on survival tactics. We operate on self-improvement for black men who have self-respect. Not those pussies. They not black men. They not part of me. We would want to go to war right now. We'd be on opposite sides. I don't believe that black shit. But we here for solutions. And this is a solution. It is what it is. Then you take into account also they have problems with Asian women. They're over here crying about Jeezy dating or marrying an Asian woman. First and foremost, I haven't done my research on this, but if Jeezy has more money than that bottom shelf Brad or that white man, or that middle shelf Chad, then that woman wins because she got the top man. It doesn't matter how many kids he have. That's just the reality situation. He won. His kids are gonna have more opportunity. Now, if he was just a bum, maybe he'd be losing. But either way, you're talking about economic growth. You're talking about black businesses. You're talking about generational wealth. That's how you're gonna carry generational wealth. By dating the woman who sell you those lotion packs for 99 cents because that's the only thing you can afford. I'll be charging you animals $3 if you can afford that. But I understand supply and demand is in play, and when you have a net worth of $5, you're not gonna make much profit probably selling it for more than $10, $5 for lotion. It's usually like that. You guys have a net worth of $5 and you do have the lowest income. So I can understand why they're selling you those lotion packs and all those other hair products at the Asian beauty salons, and you try to steal shit and steal nails and stuff from their nail salons because you can't afford it. You understand why they're finessing you for such a low price, because you're low value. Low value equals low price. BWs equals low value. Basic math. But let's get into the other thing I was about to say. I'm rambling on too much. So the reason I showed those clips is because I want to bring light to the fact that you can no longer push a false propaganda like you could before the internet. Now everyone can see that these BWs, these crusties, are just a bunch of losers who are becoming single moms with every single race of men. And when they come online and say black men are leaving other races of women are single moms, the rest of the population can see with all the internet, all the media around, that these are just a bunch of bitter femcells who cannot get a black man that they want. They can't get a man in general they want, and they're projecting their own issues on the internet. The fact that I have these crusty G followers, these transsexual G followers, who even admitted herself that this is a bitter femcell, she's mad, she's hurt, trying to justify why transsexual G is such a failure. She even admitted herself that she's a hurt, bitter femcell. She's just trying to justify it by making that statement. So the whole world can see BWs are natural failures and single moms, every single race of men, visually, and it's gonna show up on paper, and we're gonna get into that. But I just want to show those clips to let you be aware of what's being pushed out in the media. You see, they didn't even want to mention that this woman has Haitian heritage because the father is black. Now, I don't know if they did that intentionally or they did that just to give Japan the credit. Whatever the case may be, you can no longer control or push a false image. And that was what Weave Chimps was brought here to do, was push the white man image up to the top. Because that's all they're good for. They don't contribute to the economy. They take, consume, and steal Asian products at their stores. And it's no wonder that Jeezy is gonna make better children reproducing with the Asian woman that probably own half the nail salons in the ghetto enclaves that you clog that you can't make yourself. And that's a female-dominated business, so that's not black man problem. That's your problem. Look at the screen and look at the divorce rate for BWs with other races of men, specifically white men, because this study only shows white men, black men. It's not that far apart from black men with white women, even though there's 10 times more or 3 times more black men, around 3 times or 4 times more black men with white women. And we're gonna take a look at Hispanics as well. We're gonna take a look at Asians. We're gonna take a look at other races of women. We're just getting started. This is an educational video. This might not be for entertainment, but this is an educational video. We gotta get the education out to the public. It's just too easy. So let's look at this right here. This is from 2000 to 2013. So we can assume that now this number is even higher, but this is the most recent one I can find on marriage. So approximately during this time in 2013, as of 2013, there's roughly 350,000, maybe a little bit over 350,000 black men married to white women. And we're gonna look at Hispanic women too. We're gonna look at Asian women. We're gonna look at black men with Hispanic women. We're gonna look at black men with Asian women. We're gonna look at BWs with white men, and we're gonna look at BWs with Hispanic men. Because you're gonna see, once I show the stats of how many of them are single moms and fatherless or having children out of wedlock from these men, you're gonna see, hey, this number seems to be about half of what it is married to them, or even more. We're gonna talk about that soon, because this is gonna show you how many of them are actually fatherless with all races of men. All right, so the number of straight black men married to white women rose 63.9% from 2000 to 2013. And BWs rose higher, but I wanna talk about this for a second, because if you got a stat that specifically targets lower income areas, knowing that there's studies out there that show black men who date interracially, typically the ones who are dating interracially and marrying interracially in large number. This was a long time ago, like maybe in 2012 when they made this stat, or when they made this study. A large percentage of them are not in low income areas. And I'm assuming that would still be accurate today. So we're just gonna assume that that's still accurate today. And this is what they use. They targeted low income areas, and they also had a sample stat of less than 1,000 people. So you have a sample stat of less than 1,000 people, and now you see on the screen there's 350,000 black men married to white women, in comparison to a sample stat of 1,000 people. Black men don't get married and they just leave white women to single moms. Well, the stats show that that's false, because it's 350,000 black men married to white women. Meanwhile, there's over 200,000 of weave chimps who are single moms from other races of men. And there's less of you married to white men than there are of you single moms of other races of men. So that says that you're becoming single moms, but we're gonna get on that stat a little later. This is what these creatures like to promote, because they don't want you to see stats like this on the screen, because they try to run from that. They scared of that. That's why they don't like my profile. They want to get taken down, but they can't. They were brought here to control the white man image and uplift his image, make sure his image is over black men, because they know their image is always going to be in the toilet, like the toilets they are. Their image is always going to be in the toilet, and their image has just gotten worse over the years. Now they're known as not only ghetto, illiterate, angry BWs, but they're also known as easy, desperate, modern day slave, bedwench, weave chimps. Their image has just gotten worse. So they try to uplift Brad image, but the stats aren't in their favor. The fact that even the media said, I don't even care about these creatures. I only care about dating other races of women. You can just put these creatures on CNN and let them beg CNN to help them support their children. Support their children and ask for a GoFundMe account, knowing that their children are biracial and from a white man, because we know that these creatures are so stupid that they'll spend their last welfare check on this person just because she's with or has a biracial kid. And they did that. That's why other races laugh at these creatures when they come here. Every race laugh at you. Immigrants laugh at you. Everyone steps over you. All right? BWs claim that this will solve all their problems, resolve all their issues. This inferiority complex that they have. And now you see that it's really them who can't compete with other races of women. I want to talk about black men conquer. This is conquer. Having the race of woman that you were you know, eating leftover chicken bones and slavery for it, and now they're dating top tier men of your race and the top tier men of their race while you online begging, do you like black girls? And you got 350,000 black men married to white women, and you only have around 190,000 BWs with white men. Let's look at that stat. That's conquered. And to make matters worse, you even resemble or try to resemble their hair. That's conquered. But we're gonna make another video about that conquer stuff. I'm gonna make a whole different video about that. I want to get to this false information that's being put out. All right, because the statistics aren't in these creatures' favor. Let's look at how many weave ships are with white men. So now this shows the number of straight BWs who married white men rose 72% from 2000 to 2013. So this goes to show all these shines who worship BWs and think that, you know, their marriage rate is decreasing. No, it actually increased more percentage wise than black men did with white people. Now with Hispanics and other races, black men increased a lot more than BWs. But the only reason this didn't increase that much is because most white men don't want them. The stats show that they're being rejected by white men on dating apps. The stats show they're being rejected by white men on other dating apps. Stats show they're being chosen last by every single race of men on dating apps, with the least being black men. Black men choose them last the least. Black men may choose other women over them on some dating apps, but still they choose them a lot more than other races of men. So this is only like that because most men don't even want to date them on dating apps over other races of women, or in real life over other races of women. Better yet, marry one if they can get a other race of woman. That's just the facts. So when you talk about biracial men, mixed men, these men get the success they have when they're with, typically there are black men and white women. 9 out of 10 of the times. Most of these BWs and white men children are just offsprings of self-loading weave chimps. Cause we gonna divest a bunch of ghetto low IQ crusties. That's what they're a product of. And you see the marriage rate is still low for them. And even when they're getting a middle shelf chat like Meghan Markle parents, you see how other cultures see them. You see how they turn a prince into a peasant. So that's just the result. So this stat shows the number of straight black men who married Hispanic women rose by 75.9% from 2000 to 2013. And this is 2013 stats, so we are in 2021 now. So this is gonna be even higher. When I was in San Diego, I'm gonna put one of these clips in my Who They Really Choose series. It's also one of my older videos when I first started YouTube. There was a lot of black men with Hispanic women. Fine Hispanic women, attractive Hispanic women, beautiful mamacitas. And they were all financially stable. You see, black men in my generation, we're not picking women based on them sharing the same skin color as us. Because we don't have any principles, we don't have any tendencies with these creatures, these low IQ, disgusting, having a bunch of babies, spreading HIVs, hoping some bottom shelf Brad will come save them out of the ghetto. And white men value just lowers when they date one of these weave ships. White men aren't respected when they date one of these BWs. They're known for being the white man property when he can't get a white woman to marry him. It's a loss, because if a black man is dating the top race of women, top non-BWs in the white man race, and he's out here outdoing his white man, that's a loss for bottom shelf Brad. So he needs a little weave ship to lift up his low self-esteem. But as far as other cultural Hispanics, you know, this is the result of BW's failing. Now, Hispanics have a real close social econ class, the black people. And even that being said, a lot of Hispanic men still aren't dating BWs. You're gonna see the difference. Let me show you Hispanic men and BWs. And black men out-earn Hispanic men. They have higher incomes and they have higher education. So it's not resources and power that a BW can get from dating a Hispanic man that a Hispanic woman doesn't already have times 10 with her race of men. I mean, BW can't get top tier men in their own community. How are you gonna get top tier men in any other community? This doesn't make any sense. This is the delusion that these crusties put out. So we're gonna look at the stats. What about the increase and the decrease or whatever change that happened with these crusties and Hispanic men? Let's look at that. So let's look at the BWs. It says the number of straight black women who marry Hispanic men rose by 59%. So I want you guys to really pay attention to this, or you can just look at it, whatever. the marriage rate, because once I show how many of these crusties have single moms or having kids out of wedlock, you'll be able to see that the vast majority of them are becoming single moms with every single race of men. And CDC is a much more accurate stat than any statistic regarding this on the planet, I believe. I don't think there's a better stat showing this, but let's just look at the marriage right now. So it only rose 59%. See, one thing I noticed about Hispanic men, especially Cubans, I say even some Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, you can't really speak too much on Puerto Ricans because they could have black in them, they could be mixed with black, they could be black men. They're multiracial, they're a multiracial ethnicity. When Spain came to Puerto Rico, there were already natives and tribes on that island that were olive skin and tan skin, and then they brought Africans there. And then the Spaniards were already there, so they're a mix between all three of those pair groups pretty much. So when we talk about Hispanics and just non-black and non-white Hispanics, you know, just the natives and the Aztecs mixed with Spaniards, whatever. When we talk about those Hispanics, they have culture. Something weeb chimps don't have. Their culture is being Bedouins and worshiping white men and spreading STDs, twerking on top of tables, and being failures at life, being the least desired race of women. But when we talk about culture, I think Hispanics have a strong culture, and I don't think they would really see it as a step up dating a BW, even if they're the poorest group in America. You see, when they see, I would see dating a BW like dating a slave, pretty much, because that's what they are 24/7, all day, every day. They're low IQ, they're desperate, they take people tax money, they don't work for nothing. And even Hispanic men making lower incomes than black men. Even if BWs were the highest earners. I don't think it still wouldn't be a step up from dating a BW. Because why would you want to reproduce that and have your mother be a BW? Have your mother blame everyone else. Have your mother have a victim complex. Have your mother sit online, put on 5 pounds every time she does live streams supporting people who molest their children. You know, this is the culture and the image that these creatures had pretty much shown every day on YouTube and even off YouTube all day about themselves. You know, you take in consideration to have the highest obesity rate, take in consideration to have the highest HIV, STD rate, you take in consideration they have all these diseases and high cholesterol and all these health issues, and then you take into other men reproducing with that, you're going to increase your children's chances of having these issues just reproducing with these crusties. And I don't think most Hispanic men don't want to do that. But let's talk about Hispanic men and their options. If they do date a BW, why I think Hispanic men do date BWs. Let's be honest. Most Hispanic men aren't meeting the height preference for other races of women. White women have a height preference. A lot of Hispanic men aren't interested in white women, other races of women. Other races of women have a height preference, and they're not going to, you know, make an exception for that height preference just because they think that you're gonna give them lighter skinned kids and kids with good hair. Boy, you got that good hair, like they told me, because they have a little more things they look for where they evaluate a woman on. It's just self-hate, like these crusties. So most of them don't meet the height preference that other races of women want. This is why you don't see them dominating heavyweight boxing. You see Hispanics will never really dominate boxing because, well, they already dominate boxing for the most part. Black men and Hispanic men dominate boxing together. But the only reason Hispanic men will never dominate boxing is because most of them aren't going to be able to make heavyweight, light heavyweight, in those higher end weight classes because they're not tall enough. They don't grow tall enough to make those weight classes. It's gonna be basically black men and white men. White men ain't winning that battle. When a white man fights a black man, and it's usually a white man from like Ukraine or some place in Europe, Saskatchewan, whatever the fucking European country names are. Even the United Kingdom, London. I think boxing was started in London. All right, it's white men from those countries if they even do beat a black man. It's always one of them from Europe. Outside of that, on average, black men are still gonna win 8 out of 10 of the times, whether he's European or American. And when he does lose, it's a European, straight from Europe. Straight from Europe. You see, Hispanic men are never going to be able to dominate all that sport because of the simple fact that they on average do not grow tall enough for it. That's with Asian men and Indian men and black men are really only race men who can grow pretty much the same height as white men on average. So you take that in consideration, it would make sense if a Hispanic man is gonna date out his race, that he may have other options, but he may only be limited to weave shifts when they're talking about that other races of women will make a exception for the height preference. Well, on average, BWs will, because they don't have many options as other races of women. They can't get the whole package. They can't get all the check boxes, because men with all the check boxes are looking for women with all the check boxes, and BWs don't have none of those check boxes. Let's get on to the next stat. So now we have this. The number of straight black men who married an Asian woman rose 50.8% from 2000 to 2013. So now we can already conclude, based on all the stats I just showed, that black men dating interracially or married interracially is far more than a 1,000 sample stat that they use amongst saying black men are leaving white women as single moms. The rate for 400,000 black men around that number is married to white women. 60,000 or a little bit less than 50,000 married to Asian women, and then whatever was the number for Hispanic men, that's well over 400,000 black men married interracially as of 2013. Not now. It's probably more now. It's obviously is more now. So it's not even possible for black men to be leaving white women as single moms like they claim. But when you're the least married group, you're the least desired group, you're the least respected group, you're the most biggest femcels on YouTube making videos about black men, who they're dating, who they're with, to make yourself feel better. But the reality that you'll never be married, you'll always be a femcel, you'll always be everyone last pick, and the only white man you get is the one that nobody wants. To cope with that, they have to tell themselves lies that this is a accurate stat, even though it's already been debunked by the same white man that they claim made it, which was actually created by BW. So they use these stats, but they don't want these stats. Let's go to the next stats, because I got more. The last one, and we're gonna leave right here. Then we're gonna see how many black men actually have children. So now look at the number of straight BWs who married Asian men rose from, looks to appear to be only 7% from 2000 to 2013. So that's a very low rate. You see, Asian men have self-respect, they have culture, and they have principles, which is what I talked about before. So I think that's why the rate is so low for Asian men marrying BWs. I think they value marriage more than other races of men in this country. They understand what comes with marriage. I think they understand that they don't want to marry a bottom of the barrel, creatures who have no value anywhere in any community, and will actually bring your value down because they're so disgusting. I think they understand that concept. They're pretty smart people. I think they understand that concept. And then they gotta deal with these animals coming in their Asian salons and stealing stuff, nail salons and stealing stuff, and then coming and playing victim when they get in front of a camera and get access to social media, similar to what they do with black men. You know, they go around talking about black men, but once black men respond and they're not kissing their ass, or other men respond, or other races of women respond, they play victim. So I think Asian men have IQ high enough to understand that dating a creature, a crusty, is a big step down. And that's just my opinion. Well, that's not my opinion. There's some facts that show that. You can easily Google or YouTube, type in YouTube, Asian men, do they prefer BWs or white women? You'll see videos in China, and it speaks for itself. So let's move on now that we see all these men who are married interracially and all these women who are married interracially. Let's really see the biggest thing in this video. Let's see how many black men have kids, and let's see how that correlates with the stats that you should have seen. So now you see the screen. Say, when do men become dads? The percentage of men who are fathers by age, race, and Hispanic origin. And you see white men, 21.2%. Black men, 24.9% from the ages 20 to 29. So that's in between my age range. So when these crussies and these creatures come to my channel and say, "Oh, you're gonna leave other races of women as single moms, girl. Come, my man left me the single mom, so I'm projecting my issues onto you, cause I'll become a single mom everybody, boy." You know, that's what these apes say. According to the stat, 24.9, approximately rounded, 25% of black men become fathers at the age of 20 to 29. And 21.2% of white men, which isn't a far number. Majority of BWs are single moms in general. You're the ones who are becoming single moms, not us becoming single dads or making anyone single moms. You're making other races of men or your other races or your biracial children fatherless. As this video shows, you have the same result. Let's look at the age range 30 to 39. It's actually more white men who become fathers at that age than black men. 63.3% of white men become fathers at 60 compared to 62.5% of black men. So if you were a millennial and you were a Gen Z, growing up, all you heard all your life from these nappy-headed animals, these wild animals that belong in the jungle so they can twerk on top of trees, all you heard from them was that you're gonna be, or you're gonna leave someone as a single father or a single mother, because all they did was project their issues onto you. And now you see the stats are showing that it's not even possible. Now let's look at the other age range, 40 to 49. By that time, you should be a father. You should have a kid, but that's actually higher than white men. So black men are waiting to become, or collectively, they are the ones who are having babies later in life, except 4%. A 4% difference, or even less than that. Even less than that, 3% difference between the age range of 20 to 29. So this was what happens when you make up false stats. And that's why you see black women are the only race of women who are online making platforms about black men 24/7, talking about black men dating interracially, because they know they can't compete. They know they're a femcel, and they know they're becoming single moms for all races of men. It's not black men who are leaving other races of women as single moms. We are marrying women. We are dating women. We are in our child's life. You're the ones who are being left as single moms, and it happens with every single race of men. And that's why I'm gonna do a video on Meghan Markle and her mother. And we're gonna see that in a separate video. I'm gonna add commentary to that, because that only further proves my point. Everything you produce is poverty. You have poverty pussy. That's what you're known for. You have no value. And these are just facts, as you see on the screen. Let's get into the next stat. Let's talk about interracially, because they always say black men leaving these other races of women are single moms, which the stats I posted previously contradict that. The stats on the screen right now contradict that, and these other stats are about to contradict that. We're gonna look at the real stats. This is what happens when you got stupid people who are too lazy to Google. You can come out here and say anything that helps them sleep at night, and they'll try to take it and roll with it. So we're gonna get the real facts out.
Out of tables, but this is about the fertility rate of the men and women. How many men and women ever had a child within this age range? Of course, you don't expect teenagers to have a lot of kids, which it's almost like 20% of your children actually born before age 21. But it's about the total number of kids, estimated the total number of kids at the end of a woman's life. And same thing for men. And the reason they send it to me is because we're always talking about the percentage of men that ever have children. And it's been bandied around between 51 and 54% of men, black men, that don't have children, which on its face seems like it's kind of rare, but really it's not. Because if you look at it, look at the highlighted portion, it's probably might be hard to see on this one. But if we talk about Hispanic women, which have the highest fertility, they've ever had like 62.1%. 62.1% of Hispanic females have had kids, and 49% of Hispanic men ever had kids, which is a nice little gap. Same thing for non-Hispanic whites. 53% of white women had kids and only 42% of men have kids. White men have kids. It's even lower for Asians. 48% of Asian women have kids. Only 35% of Asian men ever had kids. So when you see 46% of black men have kids and 57% of black women have kids or ever had kids, it's not that high a percentage. So like I said, it's a similar percentage between, like I said, between white, non-Hispanic black and non-Hispanic white. It's not that big a gap, but it does tell you that only 46% of men ever sire children, which is something we've been saying. So the fact that black men are seeding kids all over the place is not true. And that bears it out. What we're looking at actually bears out what we're saying. And there's all kinds of tables about the number of kids ever born. Interesting, but this is not where the rubber meets the road, because a lot of people look at the charts and a lot of people look at half of the study and they don't read it to the end. And towards the end is where it gets interesting when it gets into the tables. Because I like to read tables. I like to read raw data if I can get it. So since I like charts, I think raw numbers and charts are very telling if you can find the right ones. Not always, but if you can find the right ones, they're very telling. So what we're going to look at right now, something very interesting. The number of children born to women aged 15 to 44, which is your childbearing years, in this time period from 2011 to 2015. We'll snip it in time. And what we're going to focus on is the race. We're actually going to compare that to what the males actually produce. Okay, Hispanic origin and race, right? They separated to native born versus foreign born. Fine, but we're going to use the totals. Hispanic or Latina, okay, they have 12,300,000 children born to Hispanic or Latina in this particular time frame. Okay. Non-Hispanic whites, 34 million children born in this time frame. Black or African American, right? 8,400,000. And Asian, 3,100,000. And that's all fine and good until you start comparing numbers. And we're gonna show them, and then we're actually going to cut them out and compare them. Now we'll go to the same thing for the men. Number of biological children fathered by men aged 15 to 44 between the years 2011 and 2015. Hispanic Latino. Remember the Hispanic Latino females were actually producing 12,300,000. Latinos actually produced 600,000 more fathers, 600,000 more children than the Latino women had. Significant. Same thing with the white race. White men actually fathered almost 300,000 more children than the white women had. And look at the opposite. Black, African American males, right? Now, these two up here, they actually fathered more children than their women actually produced, or actually they actually sired more children than the women actually produced, right? Look at this.
So when I say these crusties are becoming single moms, every single race of men, it's not black men leaving other races of women single moms. It's you crusties becoming single moms, every single race of men with impoverished children. Before this was even done, I said this. Now you see it's a proven fact.
African American males, 7.2 million versus 8.4 million. With females, we're the exact opposite. We're in reverse order to everybody else. That is significant. So, in other words, if you think about it, African American females actually had 1.2 million children in this time period for somebody other than black males. So that idea that black males are actually fathering all these out of wedlock births, all these children, well, that's fine if we're 85%. What about the other 13 to 15% of children that black males are not attached to?
So that video was by BGS, and that pretty much sums up everything. The proof is in the pudding. And I'll continue to bring this up in my other videos. See, you can't keep putting out false information and expect no one to destroy you. People are tired of these creatures. They are tired of these crusties. Everyone is tired of you. Nobody respects you. Nobody wants you here. You're useless in every community you go. You spread HIVs. You have children in every community you go. You blame everyone else for your issues. You play victim every time someone responds to you. The nicest people on the planet to you are black men, and I'm glad that's changing. See, self-respecting black men and mixed men, we never respected these crusties and these creatures. People with what YouTube would say SYSB mindset, they never respect these creatures. People who have a free thinking mindset, they never respected these creatures. And to be associated with them is something negative. That's why other women who are mixed don't even want to really associate themselves with a bunch of bitter femcells who obsess over who black men are dating all day long and cry about colorism. It's got to the point where I got Asian women who support my channel because they're getting tired of you. People don't respect you. You can talk about black men all day long. It doesn't change the facts, and people can read stats, something you dumb idiots don't read. Other races and other women and other men can read stats, and not just the stats that favor their narrative. They're not in an echo chamber. They live in reality. A lot of you ghetto retards don't get out your Section 8 projects, so you wouldn't know that. Now I'm done. The video speaks for itself. And expect more videos like this in the near future. I'm out.